करे या ना करे ये कैसी मुश्किल है, कोई तो बता दे इसका हल ओ मेरे भाई. Hey guys, welcome. My name is Inam and welcome to episode 8 of Quarantine Stories. My name is Inam and this is powered by #inamstories. I want to share something with you. In this COVID environment, halfway through it that we are in, I realized I've done certain actions like cleaning the house that I've not done before, but through doing these new actions, I'm learning these new activities that is helping me more. It is helping me be more positive. So, message for you today is there are actions that are unknown to you which will be transitioning to known actions, and that will give you more power and more confidence. So don't be a limit, be an abundance through the environment and move positively. On that note, I will start off with today's story. The title of the story is More Than a Match. I repeat, the title of the story is More Than a Match. It is written by Mr. Shepard and it is taken from the website AARONSHEP.com. Let's begin with the story. Alright. There was once a man so wise that no one could say just how wise he was. He was also so old that no one remembered his name and he'd forgotten himself. So they called him simply the Wise One. So the first character, Wise One. Alright. Now the Wise One lived close to the kingdom's capital, which was called the City of Here. Just a day's ride away lay another city, which is called the City of There. And a single road between them carried many travelers by horse, cart and carriage. So with this, what we understand is the Wise One lived near the kingdom's capital, City of Here. And there's another city called City of There. Okay, there's one road that is connecting between them and it takes a day's travel to travel from City of Here to City of There. Okay. One day when a merchant from here ridden his horse halfway to there, he came upon a huge man standing right in the middle of the road. The man was half again taller than the merchant and dressed like a merchant himself. So there was a merchant who was traveling from City of Here to City of There, and he went right into the middle of the road, right midway, and he faced a giant who was dressed exactly as the merchant. And the merchant was flummoxed with this because the giant was blocking the road. Now the giant shouted, "None shall pass without a fight. Choose your weapon, dark or light. I'll more than match you, wrong or right." So the merchant, let's see what the merchant said. "Never mind," squeaked the merchant. And he fled back to the city, warning everyone he met on the way. There is this giant, please, I just faced him. I don't know what to do. How are we going to travel? It was not long before he told the king too, to which the king said, dear me, what must I do? What must I do?" The queen leaned over to him, said, "Darling, why don't you?" "Not now, my love. I must listen to my council of 3. So here we understand there's a king and the queen, and the merchant who faced the giant comes back, tells the king about this giant, and the king is worried and he starts to call a council of 3 when he's interrupted by his wife. He cuts her wife off, not physically, in terms of the words. Let's move on. The first counselor lifted his finger. "Your Majesty, a king must protect his subjects and uphold their right to travel where they wish. One of your warriors must battle the giant. Send the master of clubs." Oh my, said the king. But he called for the master of clubs and gave the order. So the first counselor told him to send a warrior called the master of clubs to face the giant. The next morning, the master of clubs rode out till he came to the giant, who was now dressed up like a master of clubs. The giant bellowed, "None shall pass without a fight. Choose your weapon, dark or light. I shall be more than matching you, wrong or right." The same message he had told the merchant. The brawny warrior dropped from his horse and growled, "I choose clubs." But as he raised his own club, the giant raised one bigger and one heavier, and he said, and he's like, "Womp, womp, 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 womp." And the master of clubs was shorter and wider than ever before. The flattened warrior raced back to the king. Dear me, said the king. "What must I do? What must I do?" So the master of clubs, who had gone to face the giant, got clubbed down completely by the giant, and now he is completely flat and short and came to the king. Now the king is completely worried. To which the queen says, "Darling, why don't you..." Not now, I have more pressing matters," said the king. The second counselor, who was present there, said, "Your Majesty, this is a great insult to your kingdom and must not go unanswered. Send the master of swords." So the second counselor, who was there, he advised the king to send the master of swords to face the giant, to which the king agreed. The next morning, the master of swords rode till he came to the giant, who was now dressed up like a master of swords. Interesting. So the giant is mimicking whomever is coming to face him. Very, very important part. And the giant roared, "None shall pass without a fight. Choose your weapon, dark or light. I'll more than match you, wrong or right." The lanky warrior sprang from his horse and cried, "I choose swords!" But just as he drew his own sword, the giant drew one sharper and longer, and swish, 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 and the shirt of the master of swords hung in shreds. The tattered warrior raced back to the king. Dear me, said the king. "What must I do? What must I do?" So the second guy who went in there, the master of swords, got completely flattened, just like the master of clubs. Interesting. What is going to happen now? The next morning, the third counselor tapped his nose. "Your Majesty, your kingdom now faces the gravest of challenges to its very existence. You have no choice but to use your most powerful warrior. Send him." The king, like, oh my god. Send the master of fire. Send the master of fire. So the king thought about it, and he did order the master of fire to go face the giant. The queen, however, leaned on to the king, said, "Darling, why don't you..." "Please, darling, we have more pressing matters. We need to trust our counselors," said the king. The queen kept mum as she waited to see how this unfolds. The next morning, the master of fire rode till he came to the giant, who was now dressed up like a master of fire. See, the giant dresses up, becomes the person that comes to face him. So the giant said the same message again. Said, "None shall pass without a fight. Choose your weapon, dark or light. I'll more than match you, wrong or right." The ruddy warrior leaped from his horse and barked, "I choose fire." He swiftly lit his torches and tossed them at the giant left, right and center, to which the torches that was sent to the giant caught them and threw them back faster, burning brighter and hotter than ever before. That's how faster and brighter it was, hotter it was. And the Master of Fire was completely burnt out from top to bottom. The smoldering warrior raced back to the king, to which the king said, dear me, what must I do? What must I do? But not one of the counselors could say. Then the queen, the counselors were mum. So the Master of Fire went there, lit up the torches, failed back, right like the Master of Clubs and the Master of Swords. Master of Fire also gave up, quit, came back, lost in the battle, came back, told the king. All the counselors are completely mum. The queen leans over and says to the king, my love, darling, why don't you ask the wise one? My love, a wonderful idea. I'm glad that we came up with that idea. And he called out for the wise one. Interesting how the queen wanted to give him the idea from before. The king did not even let her speak. Now the queen gives her idea to the king, and the king owns that idea, makes it a part of him, that he also came up with that idea. I guess that's a place. Uneasy lies the head that wears the crown, they say. Let's move on. The wise one arrived the next morning and listened carefully to the king's story. Then he said, I will go at once. With a cart and a horse loaned by the king, the wise one drove out till he came to the giant, who was now dressed up like a wise one. So the wise one that we introduced at the beginning is right there facing the giant. So two are squaring off, to which the giant, now let me take you to the moment. Oh, interesting, it's gonna be like completely. The giant said, none shall pass without a fight. Choose your weapon, dark or light. I'll more than match you, wrong or right. Well, said the wise one, I shall have to think on this. And so saying, he settled himself to ponder. The giant stood stone still, blocking the pathway. After a while, the wise one's stomach grumbled. He reached for a loaf of brown bread. As he was about to have it, he thought. He heard a growl from the tummy of the giant. Perhaps you too are hungry, said the wise one. Pleasantly, he held out the piece of bread. Would you care to share my humble bread to you? So, cried the giant, you tried to conquer me with kindness. But now I'll more than match you, said the giant. Almost faster than the wise one could see, the giant took from his own bag a table, a chair, and all manner of tasty, wholesome dishes fit for a wise one. Grains, cheeses, vegetables, fruits. Then, before the wise one could look twice, the giant stood there again, solid as rock, blocking the road. So the giant took out all the stuff that would make the wise one very comfortable, because he understood that the wise one was making him feel comfortable. So that's the way of it, murmured. Murmured the wise one. He got down from the cart and sat at the table to enjoy the giant's offering. When he had eaten enough to satisfy his hunger and a little more, he leaned back contentedly and gazed thoughtfully at the giant. I should like you to know a little about me. I live in a cottage in a forest outside the city of here. And though I make no such claim for myself, others call me the wise one. So they're having a conversation. The wise one and the giant is having a conversation. And the wise one is speaking about where he lives and why he is being called by the people as the wise one. The giant bellowed, another contest, but you won't win. The giant is thinking of it as a contest. So let's see what the giant says. But you won't win, because now I'll tell you even more about me. I have no name, for my father is the wind, and my mother is a curved mirror, and like any mirror, I show only what I see, and I have no power or skill but what you choose. I thought as much, said the wise one, rising from the table. But the day is more than half done, and I must reach the city of there before dark. So the wise one, the giant, explained about his origins. Basically, he's saying that his creation does not exist, and he basically mimics whoever is in front of him. But the day is more than half done. Okay, so what is his name? The wise one. The wise one decides to tell him that he needs to reach the city of dark. He stepped up to the giant and smiled kindly. The wise one smiles at the giant and says, "May I offer you a ride?" The giant screams, "You dare to challenge me again? This time I'll best you once and for all. All." He picked up the wise one, then the cart, then the horse, all together. Then he raced down the road as fast as any wind, all the way to city of theirs. From city of here was the fight. He catches everybody and he holds everybody. This is the palm, and he reaches completely to the city of there. Interesting. The giant set them down gently at the city of their gate. "I hope you've learned your lesson," said the giant. "Oh, I have," said the wise one breathlessly. "I thank you for it, and so will the king and all his subjects, I am sure." Then the giant raced back up the road and was out of sight within seconds. And ever since then, thanks to the wise one, travelers between here and there have only to bring themselves half the way, and then they get a ride from the giant to go through the other half. And that's the end of the story. It is a very interesting story. So applause to the writer who has written this. And with that, we are finishing with today's story. The moral of the story is we've come halfway, and it's a giant that we are facing. So let us be wise so that the giant takes us halfway to the next destination. Until then, stay safe, stay secure, stay strong, stay lovely, and stay smiling. Because my name is Inam. This is episode 8. I am gonna see you tomorrow on episode 9 of Quarantine Stories. I see you. Bye bye.